expanded universes are like the new thing. And little did we know that they were going to release a new Lord of the Rings movie. Finally caught up with the Aowen spinoff, and it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk it?
Yep.
Seriously though, where the hell has Miranda Otto been? Answer: filming Annabelle creation for the last like 8 or 10 years.
Much like we have been filming this video for the last 8 or 10
This
years.
is the 10,000th take of this review.
Yep.
Namely because I forgot everything.
Yep.
But anyway, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's just get a few things out of the way before we actually get into the meat of the review. Number one, unlike what's the stupid face?
The Guardian?
No, I'm not. Fuck the Guardian. Unlike Angry Blow.
Oh, Angry Joe, he sucks ass.
Yeah, unlike Angry Joe, we're not going to let the theater experience ruin the film for us and thus give it a bad review. Because if that were the case, we'd give this 3 thumbs down.
Yep.
Because,
one was the penis.
Yeah, one of them's a penis, in case you didn't know that. Because the audience we were with was complete ass.
It was pretty shit.
But
a lot of laughing, a lot of annoyance, yeah. A lot of screens with the brightness of 14 suns blazing into my eyeballs.
It wasn't good.
So we're going to not do an Angry Joe and separate the movie from the film experience.
Yeah.
Because we don't suck ass.
Yes, exactly. So just get that out of the way. The frustration of having seen it with a bunch of retards out of the way. Boom, let's put that over there and let's talk about the film. Before we get to the meat of the film, that is Annabelle creation, let's talk about the Conjuring Universe, which this is a part of. You know, this is the 4th installment thus far of a planned 1 trillion.
Technically the first.
Yeah, technically it's the first. But anyway.
Timeline's a thing.
Yeah, let's talk about it, man. Conjuring 1 and 2. What was your opinion on them? Where do you stand on them? Do they affect how you look at this particular movie? Same with Annabelle.
Good. I like them. Very atmospheric, slow paced, but good in the long run. They feel like movies that aren't made anymore.
Yeah,
like
really.
These feel like old horror movies.
Feels like a 70s movies.
70s movies. But yes, they're very good. I enjoyed the second one more than the first. And I gotta say that I was able to separate myself from the Conjuring Universe, I guess, for this one more than I was Annabelle. I think Annabelle was expecting the same level of atmosphere building, and thus was a little bit disappointed. But I still enjoyed Annabelle, despite the fact that I think some of the atmosphere building was not as good as the Conjuring movies, and that some of the acting was a little iffy. But I still liked all the movies so far.
All right. Ditto on myself on a lot of that stuff. Conjuring 1 and 2 were pretty much amazing. Good throwbacks to 70s style horror filmmaking. Like you said, a lot of atmosphere building.
Yeah.
Hats off. You like that? Hats off to James Wan for mastering negative space. Really learns how to use suspense and tension and what's around him visually or otherwise, and what's not around him. Just darkness and just waiting.
He really knows what you're expecting in a horror movie against you.
Yeah, he really does. And I keep telling you that you got to see Insidious because he does the same thing, but he kind of ups the ante in a lot of ways. But yeah, he's mastered that. And Annabelle, which was not directed by him but was overlooked by him, got a lot of kind of sort of negative.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you were kind of expecting something on the level, so that might have been a lot of people's
honestly, I think that's why I'm not a huge. I didn't hate it. I liked the movie, but I think that was a little bit of a disappointment. Was that I was expecting the same quality as the previous offerings, and it is a bit of a step down. And the guy. I mean, it's a different person doing it.
Right.
It's to be expected to be a different style. But in my eyes, it seemed like they tried to do the same stuff, and sometimes it wasn't as effective. There is a lot of cool parts, but some of it falls a little flat for me. But I think maybe it was just because I was expecting something similar or close to that.
Yeah, I think maybe so, and I think that was the consensus because it wasn't hated. It was just kind of like a little that general feeling of it's not as good as these, but it's all right, But I think so. I went in expecting. Not garbage, but I went in expecting not even close to the quality of the Conjuring movies, and I was ultimately very pleased with Annabelle. Again, not as good as the Conjuring movies, but I was very, very pleased. with the film. I thought it was a great tip of the hat to stuff like Rosemary's Baby, especially there was a lot of stuff in there that was, an ode to that. And I really liked where it went. It was a bit slower in the escalation of the paranormal activity.
And that's fine. I just some of it to me didn't feel as effective as the previous ones because, like I said, in Conjuring 2 especially, they use that periods of nothing really to get you fearing basically what's in your mind because you're making shit up. The shit's not gonna show up. And in my opinion, some of that didn't really translate well into Annabelle, but it was still good. I still enjoyed it.
Ultimately I'm gonna say just ahead of time before we get into the movie that I actually ended up enjoying the first Annabelle a lot more than this one, but that's not to detract anything from this or take away anything from Creation. So let's get to the meat of it. Annabelle Creation, overall impression, what do you think?
I think as a story, it is not as good as Annabelle.
I agree with that.
But in terms of carry out, in my opinion, it's better. So it's kind of like an interesting middle ground. Where technically, story-wise, it's not as good, but in carry out, it's better. And the way they do some of the... It just feels more satisfying, I guess, and to me.
Like direction-wise and stuff like that, it was carried out a little better. I gotta go on the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of my opinion of satisfying. For example, when we finally get the reveal of what happened with the main character, I shouldn't say the main character. I don't want to ruin anything for any potential viewers, but B is the little girl in the movie that the paranormal activity centers around, or should I say is coming from. And when we finally find out the motivations behind the paranormal activity from her parents, I was kind of like, like it felt like a spent fucking jizz for me. I wasn't disappointed, but I was like, all right, I mean, they could have done that a lot better for, they did go into that flashback, which was kind of cool, but I thought it could have been a lot better. But not to say that it was horrible, no, not at all. But I kind of felt like kind of disappointed by that. And the ending, while it tied off, that's one thing that was bothering me the whole movie, which I was like, man, how is this thing going to tie into the damn, other movie, which it's a sequel to it, because this is technically a prequel to a prequel. How's it going to tie in? How's it going to tie in? And when it ultimately said that was satisfying, but, kind of expected, I guess. So, but again, satisfying enough. It was just that one bigger reveal, I guess, where, they kind of tell you how this all came to be. That was kind of like ultimately a disappointment for me in some respects, but not horribly disappointing. But anyway, that's my take on that.
I kind of disagree because I thought it gave the happenings of the sequel previous film some more like oh shit, there was this all along and he's been doing this for this long, and thus made the entity creepier, I guess, in my opinion. But yeah, I can see your point.
Yeah.
We're trying to tread lightly here, so we don't.
There's surprises in the movie if you haven't seen it that if we say the wrong thing, it might come out. I will say this again to compare the two because it's kind of necessary. I did like once the paranormal activity ramps up and the demonic force starts to do its thing, if you will. I did like the demonic presence visuals and scares a lot more in the first Annabelle than in this one. Here we just kind of get a few glimpses of it.
I disagree.
And it didn't quite work out as well, in my opinion, because there was one good scene that used the actual visual appearance of the entity, which was the mirror scene, if you remember that.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good startle, but I preferred other scenes in Annabelle, like the storage scene, the storage room scene, and stuff like that. I thought they used the actual physical appearance of the entity a lot better in those.
I personally thought that they used them too much in Annabelle to the point that it kind of lost its spookiness. Though the first time he appears, it was really spooky, and that was, I think, the most effective time they use him. So I actually liked their more conservative use of him in this same demon. Spoiler.
Oh yeah, I mean obviously it's the same demon. Yeah.
Like for example, the first time you see its eyes, it was really cool. I thought that was really cool. He's holding the doll up in the darkness. That was cool, and you see him a lot less.
It's kind of weird because if you really think about it, if you see the movies in order, then if you think about it, okay, well in the first one, which would actually be this one, because it's a prequel.
Yeah.
You know, they have a more conservative use of him, and then in the one that's already out, but is actually a sequel to this one, there would be a little bit more of it. So it's kind of weird to think about it.
The chronological order of these two movies is kind of like, it's kind of like if this one was released first because they use him less.
Yeah.
And then the sequel, he's like freaking doing a tap dance in the middle of
it. Yeah, that was odd.
But personally, I liked the fact that they used him less and it was cool. And they used more conduits of his, which I thought were cool.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I usually do like the more conservative approach, and I mean that leads for great atmosphere and suspense. But for some reason, I just preferred the Annabelle approach more. Maybe because it was treading familiar ground with its odes. That I thought it was, in fact, that's exactly what it is. I was like, man, this is really cool. Because they were doing that on purpose. The whole Rosemary's Baby winks were all on purpose. You know, everything from the carriage to the building with the neighbor.
Pretty obvious. So his being there fit.
So it felt more to me like, oh, this is a very neat ode to that. Plus being this.
Plus when you see it, you're like, oh, okay.
Then when you see Rosemary's Baby, of course, it's super conservative in its scares. So that to me was, I guess that's why I enjoyed that a lot. But anyway. But yeah, I get you, and you're right, absolutely right. The scares in this come from the demonic entity manifests itself in a variety of ways here, versus just itself.
Yeah, I really like. I actually preferred that, but I see your point. I think in context of the movie, it makes sense how they did it in Annabelle, and in the context of this movie, it makes sense how they did it here.
Right. I mean, you can tell they're putting a lot of thought into this, which is really cool for a universe. Hint, Universal Studios and the Dark Universe. Put some thought into your shit before you go out there. But anyway, so that would
make a good movie first, and then make a universe fools.
Yeah, no shit. So that's pretty neat. Let's talk about the other aspects. Do you have the list? Are we list less?
We're less.
Okay, well let's go. Let's wing that bastard. Like my little wing there. Yep. But anyway, that was bad.
One of them was characters.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about the characters overall. Let's mix it up with actors. Characters, actors. Yeah. They complement each other.
This is where I think this one's superior. In the characters, because personally, I don't know why I really couldn't dig some of the characters in the previous film. We shouldn't even be comparing these, really.
Right.
So I like the characters in this. They're really likable. The kids, I like them. And there's something. They kind of hint to something spooky going on with the grown-up guy, and it kind of pays off a little bit. But
yeah, that's where I told you that it was kind of like ultimately
that was a little bit disappointing, but I mean it was fine, but it was a little bit disappointing.
I thought the this is where I was getting with that. I thought the implications of what they did that spurred this whole situation to happen were going to be deeper than just this. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, especially because they do kind of build it up. And
exactly. But this guy's got some issues here. What's up with him?
It was fine, but I can see your point.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the kids and the nun lady, I thought they were all really likable and really cool, which goes a long way because I personally didn't like the main man character, to be specific, of the first movie. Thought he was a bad actor.
You heard it here first. The main man character.
Didn't like the main man character, but I did like the lady, which I guess is the most important character in the first movie. So yeah, I really like the characters and actors.
Yeah. I get what you
about a crutch.
I get what you're saying about the lead male in the first Annabelle. He had kind of that weird kind of
really
clean cut.
I looked the guy up and he's like done nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I believe ultimately it was intentional to some degree because what they were trying to show of the times. But yeah, it took me a while to get used to him.
Some of the reactions he had were really wooden and weren't believable.
Ultimately, I was fine with him, but yeah, I get you from that. Everybody else was fine in the movie, except he was kind of odd. This one, I did have some trouble with some things, and it's not to say that the acting was bad. It wasn't. The little girls were all spectacular, especially the two lead girls.
Yeah.
They were fantastic. They were great, and they do really good job.
I was like, it's pretty cool when these kids can act better than that guy in the first one.
Yeah, no kidding. I had some issues with the nun. She kind of like felt stilted at times.
Yeah, I could see that.
And the dad, I couldn't tell for a while. I was like, this has to be intentional the way he's acting. And then after a while, I was like, is it just that he has zero range? Because he was that way before the events happened, and then still.
And I thought it was fine. I thought it was like kind of like spooky when it was in the movie, but I always thought it was leading to something.
Exactly, and that's why ultimately.
And it never really did. So you're kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah. But given that he was fine, he gave it a spooky feel. But then I'm not really sure if he was supposed to be giving it a spooky feel.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think the case was here we're trying to create an ominous sense of something is being hidden, and that's why ultimately it works. But then when they actually reveal what is being hidden, you're like I said, it's kind of like I guess, but it was still fine. But anyway, that particular portion. So the acting and the characters were pretty much on point. Pretty much benefited everything that was going on screen. Let's talk the special effects, which are pretty much solid.
Yeah,
through and through. I mean,
there's a huge amount of. We're not talking like Spider-Man here.
Yeah. I mean, again,
they're good.
Most of the scares are tension based.
I really like that the scene, and I guess it goes into the effects. The scene in the little barn with the scarecrow.
Yeah, that was
starts like tearing it. That was really cool. But again, they use him very, very scarcely. So even that, like, there's a lot of lights hiding these effects, but they look good. There's nothing bad. I didn't think anything looked bad.
Yeah, everything looked pretty nice.
Pretty solid.
I'm trying to think of a specific moment that had kind of struck me as odd, and I can't think of any. I mean, I guess the oddest one for me was, without ruining anything, when a certain character is torn apart. I won't say who, but a certain character is torn in two, and they actually show that. Like, it was. I mean, I guess if I had to pick one, but it was fine. I mean, everything looked pretty good on point.
There's this one effect where a character stretches out.
That was neat.
That was really cool.
Really neat. Yeah.
There was several moments in this movie where the build-up is always the spookiest part in these movies, really. But once the actual like scares or the effect would happen, I couldn't help but smile because they were freaking cool.
Yeah, that's something.
There was a lot of like, damn it, that's cool.
I had that same reaction, and with the first Annabelle, where it was like, man, that was worth it. That was, these are kind of marred by one thing, and again, this is not to discredit the films, but they're marred by a sense of predictability. If you are familiar with the rules established in this universe, you kind of know where things are going to go.
Yeah.
And if you're already familiar with horror films, you already know where the scares are coming. But then they just do it in such cool little creative ways.
And they draw out certain scenes so much that you're expecting something, and then it doesn't happen. But then it happens a little bit later, and you're like, oh, okay. That's
exactly.
A cool surprise.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of moments in this movie where I was just like, damn it, that's cool. Like, couldn't help but smile at something that cool.
Yeah, they do really good job for the scares, and I mean, it's just, if you're a horror fan, you'll be happy to see things like that. Yeah. Let's talk the score. You know what? It's weird, but I kind of don't remember the score.
I wouldn't say I had problems with it, but like I say, I don't really remember it. Like typical horror score.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought they used music too much at times. Because of how the previous ones used music very little, and they made you spooked more. In this one, even though they still don't use it a lot, there is moments where they do like the scare chord or like the run, and you're like,
they got a lot of stings.
Yeah, they're not bad, and they're still used very sparingly, especially compared to other horror movies. But compared to the other movies, I thought that it was a little bit of a step back because some of the like atmosphere building,
it kind of cheapened some of the
but nothing bad.
Yeah.
It was just like occasionally there was a little bit too much of a and you're like, okay, it would have been. I got a perfect example. There's a scene where the little girl is chased up of a bunk bed, and something falls, like you hear footsteps, and then the thing shakes, and that's kind of spooky. And she like peeks over, and then there's a doll. And then you see a hand come out and grab it.
Right.
they use like a wing there.
Yeah,
and I thought it would have been 100 times spookier if just the hand came out and grabbed it.
Or maybe something not so pronounced.
Yeah.
But not really a memorable score. More in tune with let's get the scares across sometimes. And you're right, a little bit overused at times, but overall,
it was fine.
I guess I mean it kind of like sewed itself so well into the tapestry, you just kind of forgot about it. What else we got to talk about, man? What do we got here? You got anything here? Because I'm fucking falling way behind here.
Blanking like a mofo, not gonna lie.
Yeah, but overall the movie was pretty great time, man. It's fun time. It says a lot that there was a room full of fucking idiots and we still enjoyed it.
Yeah, there was literally a person next to me with her freaking mini son in her hand, texting the entire movie, and I was just like, I'm gonna let it pass because I want to see this movie, and I was so enjoying the movie that I didn't mind this piece of shit over here texting the entire film.
Yeah. I had to have some words with some people afterwards.
That was awkward.
Because, fuck me, man. Shut the hell up during the movie. But, yeah, man, it was a blast of a time. If you get a chance to see it in the theater, which I hope you do, there is usually attached to the reel, or I guess they're not reels anymore, but let's say it that way. Attached to the reel is a preview to next month's It.
Yeah.
Which gives you, that in itself was cool. That was pretty much worth the entrance for me. That was a neat little peek. So that's cool. And if you stay after the credits, there is a little hint of what is to come further in the Conjuring Universe, which is still weird to kind of say, but there you have it. But yeah, man, overall, pretty fantastic. I give it, a solid 7.5. I don't know. I don't have tentacles, so I'll give it a 7.5 period.
All right.
Out of 10. Maybe even a little bit more on a special day.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I might actually buy this one along with the Conjuring films. So I'll actually buy this one out of 10.
Neat. Check it out.
Angry Joe sucks.
Angry Joe does suck. Check it out. Tell us what you thought about it. Are we right? Are we wrong? Are we idiots? Most likely.
Yeah.
Like, share, subscribe. Let us know what's up. This has been Ahab and the Goon Tick signing out.